embedded into that anthem and the pledge. And it's on that premise that we will discuss this morning and try as much as possible to see how well we've been able to adhere tenaciously to those creeds of our founding fathers as well enunciated. When we talk about ethics, we believe that there can be no better place than going back to the supreme law of the land. The Constitution in section 23 captures to a very large extent what the ethics should be and how it can be obviously classified. Section 23 says that national ethics shall be discipline, integrity, dignity of labor, social justice, religious tolerance, self-reliance, and patriotism. A good number of these are very, very pungent in themselves. The issue of discipline, integrity, dignity of labor, social justice, religious tolerance, self-reliance, and patriotism. And one key one is already absent as far as I'm concerned in this organization. Something you have to address. The issue of discipline. I have not seen discipline here at all. I have not. I have not seen discipline that something is supposed to start at 10 o'clock and it's starting at 10:30 or thereabout or after 10 and people are still expected to come in. That does not show discipline of any type. And it's already a minus in my own estimation. And it has not presented this organization clearly well in my own sight as far as the case may be. But again, it is not me. It is a matter of ethics. It's a cardinal principle. If you don't have discipline, what else do you have? Discipline is inextricably interwoven with integrity to a very large extent. Of course, so also is dignity of labor, the issue of social justice, amongst others. But going forward, we can return to some of these clearly later. Ethics is woven around ideas of what is good and bad, right or wrong, as the case may be. So if you want to know what is good, what is bad, then you are talking about what ethics. For those who are lawyers, they talk about professional ethics, and so on and so forth. That's why people find themselves in very tight corners here and there when it comes to violating the code of conduct and ethics, as the case may be. I sit on the Privileges Committee appointing senior advocates of Nigeria for the past 5 years, and we have been grappling with the issue of misconduct here and there, and to a very large extent petitions ensuing therefrom will make it impossible for otherwise qualified people to be appointed to that exalted rank of senior advocate. So what are the characteristics? What are the characteristics? Honesty is very critical. Accountability. These are characteristics of ethics. Doing a good job, being part of a greater vision. Humility, valuing what one does. How well do you value what you do? Hard work, fairness, punctuality. That is absent here as far as I'm concerned. Following due process, dependability, efficiency, positive work habits, initiative, positive attitude, and teamwork. These are the basic characteristics of work ethics or good ethics that should be prevalent in any serious organization. I talked about the greater vision. As I walked up this morning, I saw what is the vision of management here. What is the mission statement? What are the core values? And I'm sure you will recite them better than I can. And of course, the quality objectives as the case may be. But again, for me, it is very critical because for any institution, organization, or commission, you should have your vision statement. What you set out to achieve. It's a distillation from the objectives and the functions as enshrined in the law setting up this commission. For you to know what you've set out to achieve, for you to know why you are established, and for you to work assiduously to make sure that you attain the lofty heights and objectives of those who set up this institution. So, anybody who is here and who is not tied to the vision statements or the mission statements, as the case may be, perhaps is not supposed to be here. I always say that the current work ethics in this country is less than satisfactory, and I say that based on informed research and, of course, my perception over the years. Perception in the sense that you cross the borders to Ghana, and you find that the average Ghanaian has a work ethic that is far above whatever is obtainable in this country. And we've asked the question, what could have been responsible for that? We were colonized by the same British, and so on, and we were even at a point in time far well established as far as economy is concerned. Those days of Ghana must go and so on and so forth. Well, how come that still the average Ghanaian understand the rudiments and the basis of work ethics better than the average Nigerian? And some people say, well, the era of oil boom and what have you seem to have dampened the morale and enthusiasm of the average Nigerian to the extent that we believe that certain things can be gotten without necessarily working for it. And to that extent, we have whittled down the whole tempo of what ordinarily should be work ethics, which is founded on the basis of earning your wages. So you work, you earn, you work, you earn. That obviously have disappeared from our lexicon to a very large extent. We don't seem to apply it. And that mindset has not changed, and the narrative remains the same. So what we're trying to do in effect is to see how we can change this narrative by trying to discuss and interface with people, engage with people like you. I've done it all over, do it all over the country. And I'm doing it free of charge. I don't take any money from anybody. I travel all over the country doing this free of charge because I believe that I have gotten to a stage in my life where I can give back something to society. I don't ask of society, I give back. And that should be the philosophy that should attain most of the things that we do. So flight tickets, honorarium, out of the window. But I've done this repeatedly all over. And some places I notice that things seem to be working fairly well. In some other places, if I see that things are not working well, I do not hesitate to point them out, because if I don't, who will, as the case may be? It's only when you're looking for contract or looking for something that you tie your mouth. I'm not looking for anything. I think I've passed that stage in my life where I can sit in any place looking for contract or anything by the special grace of God. So the current work ethics is less than satisfactory. Amongst other factors that have led to the current poor work is the political will. It's not there. The political will, and people don't lead by example. I'm not talking about politics. I'm not a politician. I don't want to be. But all we're trying to say is that we can add value to whatever is going on in this country. And then, of course, to a very large extent, the issue of lack of objectivity in recruitment. And the reward system that obviously is neither here nor there. And then, of course, poor compensation that obviously does not keep pace with performance in other sectors of the economy. There is a sharp divide between what obtains in the private sector and what obtains in the public institutions. Then there is a problem. Going forward, let me also make this point. In order to motivate us clearly, research has shown that all over the country, we don't have more than 7 million public servants. Public servants, including civil service, not more than 7 million. And a country that boasts of almost 180 million people, 7 million is an insignificant percentage. And I always want to remind people that when you belong to this privileged 7 million, you must consider yourself lucky. You must consider yourself lucky. And to that extent, you should ask, what can you do to make sure that you justify that privileged position you occupy? Because that is very, very clear. There are almost how many other millions, hundreds of millions out there knocking on the door waiting to come in. And yet they cannot come in. And those who are in already are finding it difficult to live up to expectation. For us, that is a major challenge, and it's something that we need to address. Well, I don't need to talk about the functions of the Corporate Affairs Commission. You know it. In short, if you don't know it, you are not supposed to be here. But I have already listed them, as I do whenever I go to any organization. I take pains to look at the law setting up the organization and what they're expected to do. I do so because when we get to the point of performance evaluation and monitoring of the conduct and activities of people that work in a particular commission, organization, agency, or institution, it becomes very, very imperative that we must address the issue of the functions as stipulated by law. So, to that extent, you know where you belong in the scheme of things. I know you perform sectorially and you also perform zonally, as the case may be, because you have your offices all up and down the country. Whether you're registering business name or incorporated trustees, among so many other things that you do. At the end of the day, we ask ourselves this fundamental question: how well have we been able to achieve the best in terms of international standards in what we are by law expected to do? Well, I want us to look at the issue of the way and manner we can achieve optimal performance in this organization. So I've already stated that we must obviously premise everything against the backdrop of the functions of this commission as stipulated by law. Accordingly, the parameters for assessing how best to achieve the optimal productivity here will be according to the functions and the powers conferred by statute establishing this. Now, I want to look at the issue of enthronement of proper work ethics. What are the challenges? In most places, we've seen that there is a clear-cut disconnect between the employer and the employee. Clear-cut disconnect. The employees don't even know what is going on. The last place I went to should be in Israel. I was in Israel a few days ago, and that should be on Friday. Friday. I was in Israel on Friday. Good number of them complain that they don't even understand what is going on. And the Director General was sitting. They don't even understand what is going on. They are not carried along, and that is one common terminology that anybody that has been in public service should be used to. Carry along. They don't carry. I also confronted that as far back as 2009 when I became a Director General. People don't carry us along. So try and carry people along. So but there's a disconnect. People don't know what management is doing. And in Israel, I only spoke to the management team. They were just about this number 50 with their Director General. The issue of lack of adequate welfare too. And more importantly, what I have captured as the policy of my papa job, whatever you do anywhere in public service is your father's job. Again, it's the narrative that we need to change. We must change that narrative. The mindset must change. When people who work in government organizations still see themselves as distinct and distant from government, no, it's wrong. You are government. You are government. It's only because when people loot money, they will say, oh, they looted from here, they looted. No. Whatever they take, however they take it, is the taxpayers' money. That's why when you go to the civilized clients, like US, UK, among so many of the European countries, election is based on taxation. Are you increasing tax? Are you reducing tax? Who are you taxing more? And so on and so forth. Election is premised on tax. And who are the people responsible for the taxation? You are the ones. You pay tax. So whenever anybody is stealing money, the person is stealing your money. It's the taxpayer's money that the person is stealing. Nobody's money. Not money looted. It's the taxpayer's money. And if only we can emphasize that, people will identify with government more, knowing fully well that whenever any amount is taken, it's my money that is taken because I pay tax. Yes. You are the ones paying the tax. So you are part of government. So anybody taking anything away from government coffers is taking your money. And that is the way you should see it. And once you're able to do that, you notice that the more you try as much as possible to play down this idea of trying to draw a distinction between government and yourself. So the work you are doing is your father's job. Government job is your father's job. And the way you do your own work is exactly the way you're expected to do government job. Because you are an integral part of government. You are inextricably interwoven with government. So to that extent, it's your job. One other thing you must know in that regard is that the way you do government job is exactly the way you do your own job. People don't grow beyond their horizon or their limits. People don't. You don't grow beyond your horizon. Whatever you do when you are in government, if for any reason you leave office and you want to thrive on your own as an individual person, you can never go beyond that level that you have attained in government. And for any other reason, if you don't wake up early to come to work on time, you will never wake up on time because it's now your job. I can tell you this authoritatively. You will never. So, whatever you're doing here, you're also pushing yourself to the limits. You're also preparing yourself for that particular day that will come, and so on and so forth. So yes, I left office in 2014. I was not 60. I'm supposed to retire at 70. So I have years ahead of me, but I decided to retire voluntarily so I can face some other challenges. I mean, I've been a senior advocate of Nigeria for more than 20 years. My wife is also a senior advocate, so we are running our chambers, and I needed to join her. But more importantly, I needed to also do other things like this. Because if I wait till I'm 70, I will be almost near my grave before I can start doing thinking along that line. So what we are trying to say in effect is that because I've always been able to do things timeously, that's why I came here at 9:30. Because you said 10 o'clock. I was here at 9:30. Because things must be done with sequence and time. Dishonesty, we don't need to elaborate on that. Poor remuneration, I don't know. I don't know the wage bill of this organization. You generate a lot of revenue, but it doesn't mean that because you generate, you spend. So I don't know what your remuneration is like, but I don't think that it is that bad compared to other institutions or organizations. Job security, yes, you have job security. Anybody who is in government employed will always have job security to a very large extent. Job security for me goes beyond you are being here and you are not being in a position to be dismissed, and your job cannot be terminated without going through due process and what have you, facing disciplinary committees and also those administrative jargons that we're all used to. That for me is not job security. I always tell people that for me, job security is not whilst you are here. Job security is when you are out there. And it's when you are out there, then we know whether your pensions are running smoothly. That is when we can even talk more about job security. We've seen so many people leave offices in very terrible situations. We've seen people die because their pensions and their what have you are not paid on time, amongst others. Those who obviously did not start family life early, we've seen them unable to send their children to school, well out of office, amongst other things. And these are the people that we worry so much about. And we lead this advocacy to those who care to listen, that what is critical is not even what happens inside, it's what happens soon thereafter, because many people have been seen to die just miserably, just because they are not able to continue that level of subsistence which they enjoy even when they are in office. Now, the issue of proper orientation, no fulfillment or satisfaction. I bet a good number of you here must be having some measure of fulfillment or satisfaction in what we are doing. Anybody that works in any government employment and does not have fulfillment or satisfaction is clearly bound to be miserable. And people are taking their destiny in their own hands these days. I know of somebody who was employed in CBN about 2 years ago. After 1 year, a lawyer, after 1 year, she complained bitterly that yes, they pay fairly well, yes, she's in CBN, but no, she's not having job satisfaction. No file thrown to her, nothing. And I said, what next? I quit. And she did. She did. No job satisfaction. So what are you doing there? Our life is so that you go home in the evening and you want to reflect over what you have done in the day. And you want to tell yourself, I've added value one way or the other. And you are coming in the morning, you are also eager to go and do something because you know that there is a challenge in front of you that obviously you must come to terms with. So what happens if you know you are going to a place where you just sit down and there's nothing for you to do? Either your boss will not put anything on your table, or you are not invited to do anything, or it is the norm that you just stay there and while away time, and at the end of the day you collect your money. Yes, you may collect that money. Yes, it may serve purpose for you, pay one bill or the other, but no, you are not growing. You are just not growing. And when you are not growing, you are decaying. You are decaying, and you will notice it, that you are decaying. The little you know, like the normal law of physics or chemistry, will just evaporate. There are so many fields of human endeavor whereby the knowledge you have evaporates. There's no denying that. If you don't apply yourself effectively, all those things will come. Lack of motivation, are you properly motivated? And with time we will draw that linkage between job, fulfillment, reward, motivation, as the case may be. And then of course will come the issue of low productivity and delays, unnecessary delays. I read somewhere that there seemed to be some measure of advancement. Oh, registration will now be 24 hours. Oh, registration can now be 6 hours. I don't know which is which. I've not been able to sit down because I've been traveling so much these days. I've not been able to sit down with the acting registrar general to ask which is which now. But certainly, music to the ears is good if we can achieve that. So let there be constant advancement as the case may be. And more importantly, a situation where there is absence of systematic training policy. That's for the HR department. What training policy do you have? I go all over the place, up and down the world, and most of the training policy, training issues that I'm engaged in, either locally or abroad, whether it's IPA or wherever, I see trickles of people in those days. I don't know whether that policy is still in place. You must grow your personnel in terms of human capacity building. You must grow your personnel. I know that even when I was DG for the peak duration, because I see CAC members coming in for most of the courses in our Lagos office of the Institute of Advanced Legal Studies. Very well, maybe for those who are lawyers and what have you. But you must continuously grow your personnel, whichever field of human endeavor they come from. You must grow them. Train them and train them well. It is very, very important. One, it is good for motivation. Two, it is good for satisfaction. And three, it is good for productivity and high-level productivity. In any sense, you should be competing. You want to see a CAC that competes. The one that will say that we are as good as they come anywhere in the world. And it is only when you do that that you can tell yourself that, yes, we have come of age. You must be able to know whether you are competing favorably with the other organizations. I try to look at the issue of supervision and discipline. I've mentioned this issue of discipline. That from that perspective, discipline in terms of subordinating yourself to state authority, that is very, very important. Regardless of who you think you are, regardless of your qualifications, destiny, fate puts somebody as your boss, you are answerable to your boss. That is public service. You are answerable to your boss. Tomorrow you can still jump 4 levels ahead of him. But for today, the person is your boss. So it's part of the discipline that you must try to enthrone here, in the sense that you respect constant authority. You don't bypass one person to go to the third person just because you have access or you are related to the person. That is not normally the norm that we are used to. So when we talk about supervision and discipline, we are trying to take all that quote and unquote protocol, the protocol of public service, put them into consideration. It is also a challenge when appointments are usually not based on merit, or where you have shortage of skilled personnel, where you have victimization and politicization of staff recruitment and career progression. There is no transparent reward system, abuse of power by superior officers. I beg your pardon, please, may I have silence? Abuse of power by superior officers, lack of patriotism or nationalism, as the case may be. Lack of patriotism or nationalism. Now, the other issue that I think is key, if not very, very key, is leadership by example. Leadership by example. There is no way. You cannot, for every burden that comes with benefit, burden, the burden of leadership comes with its own benefits. For that burden of leadership, apart from the pecuniary rewards of benefits, also have, apart from the pecuniary rewards of benefit, also has its own attendant responsibilities. And what do I mean by that? Leadership by example. People look up to you when you're a leader. The subordinate staffs look up to you. So when you come late, they come late. When you sit on your file, they also learn to sit on their file. I was telling them at NTA just last week that, look, the testimony, the endorsement you get comes from within more than any other place. The endorsement you get comes from within more than outside. I've been to an office and the person that I went to look for was not there. And we were talking about a particular file moving from one place to the other. And the secretary of the officer said, Oga, as far as I know, a file does not spend 24 hours on my boss's table. That's an endorsement. The man was not there. I have not been able to see him to tell him that. But there can never be greater endorsement by your own staff of your working competence and capabilities. A file does not stay more than 24 hours on his table. And that is the kind of leadership that we look forward to. Leadership where from within, your own people will testify to your pattern of doing things and the way you work. It is commonplace, I normally say, it is commonplace for staff to say, I will not go to work today because my Oga is never in the office. I will not go to work today because my Oga is never in the office. That is leadership deficit. My Oga is not in the office, I will not go to work. So no work is allotted to me or allocated to me, so why should I bother to go to the office? My boss does not bother whether or not I am in the office. So you see that the checks and balances are not only applicable to the doctrine of separation of powers, for those who care, it's also applicable in administrative mechanisms. It's applicable, so you can't run away from that. What you do determines, to a very large extent, what those coming under you will emulate, learn from, and so on and so on, and replicate, as the case may be. Now, another critical issue is the issue of loyalty to your organization. You loyal to this organization. Loyalty to your organization. When I mean loyalty not in terms of being subservient to the leadership of your organization. I don't mean that. loyalty to the core values of your organization, loyalty to the fact that you are more than satisfied working in a given organization, you are proud of it, and to that extent you are prepared to give your best to that organization. To a very large extent, I believe